All right, so today we're taking you into Caughlin Ranch, and this is kind of a similar big master plan communities like when we talk about places like Double Diamond in the South Meadows, or when we talked about Somerset. And so today we're gonna see, again, a wide diversity of homes. But the reason why people wanna live in here is kind of the original, one of the old school master plan communities. And so like part of why, if Shitty walks that a little bit and shows you, this is the entrance. You have like nice ponds, water features, walking trails. The landscaping is much more established. And again, it's got some parks in here. There's, again, 20 miles of walking trails like you would see in Somerset. So Reno does a really good job of trying to not totally destroy the natural landscaping in some of these communities. And of course, again, from here, you're really close. So like a lot of people that work for the university that were looking for a little more higher end homes, they want to live in Caughlin Ranch because again, straight down Plum, if you went straight out, you're back to the airport in 10 minutes. The university, if you turn left on McCarran, the freeway entrance for 80 is about 5 minutes that direction. And so depending on how far tucked back in you are here in Caughlin Ranch, then you can see a lot of different reasons. Roy Gomm Elementary School is one of the most sought after schools. A lot of people that are old school Reno people went to that school. So they like their kids to go to that school. They like them to go to Reno High School. So a lot of why people live over in these areas is because of the really highly rated school systems. And again, very community oriented. You're gonna see as we go back, there's what's called Caughlin Club. So there's after school programs, daycare centers, tennis courts, pools, gym, the whole 9 yards in there. And again, depending on what price point you're looking for, you can be in some of these areas for a lot less than you think. And of course, there are a lot of high-end properties as well. They try to keep all these things as natural as possible so that it's just not tearing everything up. But if city turned right around behind you, you're on small lots, on almost condos. But we're gonna drive through some of these neighborhoods and show you what you can expect to see in all of Caughlin Ranch. Okay, so we are driving in the main entrance of Caughlin Ranch. And this is kind of the busiest road in there as you go back behind us where we first turned in. It gets you back to McCarran. But again, a lot of these homes that you're gonna see on this entry level part are the least expensive things you're gonna see in the Caughlin Ranch area. To the right, there's some condos, townhomes, small lots. It is a much smaller area than, let's say, when we looked at Somerset or South Meadows, but the pricing in here is much more expensive. So far this year when I looked, there was only about 60 sales in here so far, and you could only find 4 under $600,000, but you could find a lot once you get over $1 million. I'd say almost half of all the home sales in here were for $1 million plus. So it is much more expensive, and you can see the HOA fees in here are gonna be more expensive. And I personally think they're probably the strictest of all the HOAs. We've had some interesting conversations from people that we know that lived in here that ask questions about it, but you can see lots of grass areas, lots of ducks and geese, lots of water running through here and walking trails. And so because of that, there's a lot of maintenance and expense for them to keep in touch of. But before we go ahead and jump over that bridge, I want to give you an idea of what the lower end, less expensive homes. So we're pulling into what's called Caughlin Creek, and it's gated, but during the day, a lot of these neighborhoods, the gates are going to be open. And you're going to see these properties are going to be a little bit smaller than what you would see when we go to the back end of the custom homes on big lots back there. And so again, this doesn't feel a whole lot different than a lot of the neighborhoods in Reno, other than the landscaping is much more mature. In here, there's not nearly the stucco and tile roofs that you see in Somerset or Arrow Creek or South Meadows. This is more that established neighborhoods. This is where people want to come if they're looking for a little bit more of that feel like you get when you're in California. It doesn't feel so much like a Las Vegas or these stucco tile roof type neighborhoods. Now this again is the affordable way to get into this area. We're just gonna make a quick little loop around, and you can see, like I said, it's tight. They're close together. There's some common area parking down here in between these. And again, many of these now are gonna be built before the year 2000. So depending on the price points, like you can see them all over the place, meaning some have been remodeled, some haven't been remodeled, but it'll make that price point jump all over the place. So you can't always just say, hey, what's price per square foot in there? It really just depends on what the people have done to the interiors of these properties. But you can see a lot more mature landscaping, a lot more trees, and again, nothing flat over on this end of town. As soon as you get in Northwest Reno, it kind of works that way. But Caughlin Ranch is basically everything south of Highway 80. So when you're north of Highway 80 in the Northwest, you have kind of what's called the Old Southwest, and then, or I'm sorry, the Old Northwest, and then you also have Somerset. But this is when you drop below Highway 80, and it's everything on the west side of McCarran. So again, as soon as you get on the east side of McCarran, now you're going into more of an older neighborhood. But it's like I said, it's really beautiful in here. It's not really my favorite place. I'm not a huge personal fan of here just because I think their HOA is a little too restrictive for my taste. But for many people, if that's what you're looking for, great. So as an example, if you look over here to the left, you got a lot of these common areas. You got water running through here. And here shortly now you're going to see what's called Caughlin Club. So now we're going to see the tennis courts. A lot of those, again, used to be tennis courts. They might even actually be pickleball courts now. But as we also venture this way, you're going to see it's not your traditional sidewalks. It's only on one side of the street. And now you're going to be able to pull into the parking lot of actually what is Caughlin Club. And we'll see, we'll pull up here. We'll get you a little video, hopefully, of the pool area. And again, there's daycare here, after school programs here. So a lot of these neighborhoods for people, it's part of why they like to, to live in these neighborhoods, because you can also, have your kids dropped off from school right here and see everything that's going on. So you can't really see it very well, and they won't let us in here because it's very high security in here. But you can see it's a big center, and down on this end over here is where the actual Caughlin Club / daycare center is. I had some of my friends in college who used to work there. And it's a big parking lot, no golf course over here. So that's one thing that's difference between here and say Arrow Creek or Somerset. There is not a specific golf course that is in Caughlin Ranch, but you're not far from golf. So if you were to jump back on McCarran and go south, you'll be near Lake Ridge Golf Course in 5-7 minutes. You're by a couple of the local municipal courses like Washoe. And again, nothing is that far. So if you wanted to be a member at Arrow Creek or Hidden Valley or any of those type of golf clubs, it's not very far if you're a golfer. But as we drive through here, you can see now, again, nothing flat. I'm going to make a right-hand turn. And these areas now are the older property. So these areas where you see the non-traditional, they're not concrete sidewalks. They're kind of the blacktop, kind of like the roadways. And it's only on one side. These houses in here were more of the original stuff. So you can see a little more of that non-traditional new stuff you see in Reno. This is more of the 70s, 80s, 90s type built houses. And again, some of them are really amazing and some of them need to be, kind of gutted and remodeled, but a little more dark wood siding, a little more, like I said, tall landscaping. And in here, you're definitely going to see much more of a variety of floor plans and layouts, just because these were typically custom back in the day. And this was one of the original, and we'll do a video here soon in Lake Ridge where, same thing, it's a gated community and it is much more custom homes. And they were kind of the original further south, southwest, northwest areas that had expensive housing in Reno. And so as we roll through here, a lot of them on big lots, big driveways, big houses. That's part of why some of the costs of many of these can get real expensive. At the time of shooting this video, when we're looking at the pricing sheets, there's only 27 homes for sale in here, and they're priced anywhere between $640, and the highest one is actually $4.5 million. But there are only 4 homes over $3 million, but also only 7 homes under $1 million. So it's going to be hard to find something in here under $1 million, but if you're looking in that kind of $1 to $2 million, lots of good stuff in here. Here's one. I don't know if that's a brand new construction or something that was bulldozed and started from scratch. It's kind of one of these highly, highly sought after neighborhoods. And again, if you shoot out of the top city, up this hill, up this way, and some of those homes up on the bluffs, that's where you're going to start to see some of these homes that want $3 and $4 million that are really high end. But you have to be careful in here because, again, depending on which way you face, sometimes people aren't thinking about the direction of their driveways and snow removal and things along those lines that, again, you can see it's got like the terracotta crosswalks, and instead of the traditional sidewalks, you've got these terracotta colors and split rail fencing. A lot of the natural landscape was left behind, and it's why people like it. You're still, believe it or not, I mean, you may not feel like you're right in the middle of town, but we're pretty close to being in the middle of town. So if you're someone who's thinking about starting your journey into moving into Northern Nevada, do us a favor. Click the link in the description below. We'll get you a copy of our free buyer's guide. It'll get you some of that general information to get things started for you so you can get your journey started on your path to home ownership here in Northern Nevada. So now we're on the very north end of Caughlin Ranch. If Sid videos this way, you can see the roadway down below. That is McCarran. And then all these neighborhoods to the left-hand side, that is all Caughlin Ranch. And if you look way out, there's a big brown spot, and then there's the houses way out in the distance. That is Somerset. But all of this is that cool part of the Northwest Reno. And Sid, if you pan, I'm gonna get out of your way again. If you pan that way, you can see where the bridge is and the video entrance is. You can see out in the distance there's an overpass, and the freeway on-ramp for 80 is right there. So 80 runs right along there. So you're not that far away from it. But again, everything that's on that inside that you're seeing of McCarran now is technically not part of Caughlin Ranch. It was all that stuff that you saw at the very beginning of the video to the left. But it's actually great views. Some of these homes that we're gonna pass up here on the left that are not that expensive have these amazing views off the back of their houses. All right, so now we're in the back part of Caughlin Ranch. This is a neighborhood called Eagle's Nest. This is super high-end price points in there. It's got a great water feature. Just the entrance. I can't get us in there today. You can see back through here, there's more gated walking trails, and it's got that nice view up the hill. It's back where you start seeing $3 and $4 million homes. There's a subdivision right here on the left that's kind of the same thing. So it's really private back in there. And as we go through the back part here, and we're heading more towards the top end of Caughlin Ranch. So Caughlin Ranch runs a pretty long way from 80 all the way to up to Skyline Boulevard. It's really far. You can see on the left, some of these houses get views back towards the city. The number of views in here is not quite the same as it is in other parts of town. And you can see just by looking straight ahead how hilly this area is over here. A lot of houses on the sides of hills. The landscaping over here, you can see the trees have gotten massive now compared to what it used to be when all this stuff first started. But this area, even like this house you're seeing here on the right, these are all still part of that Eagle's Nest. And this road is really pretty private. You do have some areas back here where when you hear about the wildfires in Reno, you have to be careful. Here's the other gate for Eagle Nest. And what's gonna happen now is we're gonna go to a part back here. There's gonna be about 30 to 50 homes that were basically brand new construction, say 5 to 7 years ago. So you can kind of find all kinds of different stuff, but in here you'll see here's a different kind of retaining wall that you see in Reno. This is Pine Bluff. And these homes, again, now you're kind of back to the high-end Toll Brother-ish looking homes as you come through here that are still part of Caughlin Ranch, but a totally different feel back here. And whenever you have these sloped streets like this, you're gonna see those retaining walls. They did a little bit different work with their wood fencing by doing it parallel. On this side, you see some split rail fencing. But this is more, like we can find lots of this type of housing in Reno, different parts of town. When you're in Caughlin Ranch, or in some of the other neighborhoods, you know, you get a much more variety, where of course there's always pockets like this that is much more of the traditional high-end Reno stuff that you see. And I think in there's about 50 to 70 homes in there. But as you continue now up, we keep going up and up and up back towards the top part of Caughlin Ranch, you're gonna start to see now much more of that South Meadows home type feel. Here, these homes on the left up on the hill, where they're just back to kind of that stucco tile roof, little lower price point. So there are ways to get into Caughlin Ranch, but these don't really feel as much like you're in Caughlin Ranch as if you were down near Caughlin Club where we were earlier in the video. But you'll see lots and lots of this. We've got clients who live right through here. Lots of this. And again, when you're talking about getting back to amenities, when we come up here, we're gonna make a left-hand turn, and in 2 or 3 minutes, you know, we won't video it all the way till we get there. We'll stop it and restart it. But in a short time frame, you're gonna be right back to where the amenities are. And in these neighborhoods, because you're gonna see this massive retaining wall, you do have some homes you have to be careful about foundations. So if there was any movement of these walls or any movement of the ground, you do have to be a little bit cautious of that. So we'll pause for a second, then we'll show you where the amenities are, which are literally another 2 minutes away from where we are right now. All right, so we're driving up Caughlin Ranch Parkway. We're to the stop sign just before you start getting all the amenities. If we made a right-hand turn right here, that's where the elementary school is. It's a Caughlin Ranch Elementary. It's a really sought-after elementary school. As you come just down below here, here's where the next strip mall shopping center is, just before you get to McCarran. So as usual, we have another park, a Wells Fargo bank. We have grocery stores and shopping. So I'll do what I always do for you guys, and I'll pull into the parking lot so you guys can get a quick vision of what you're looking for. The orthodontist that my kids went to as a kid is in this mall. We got Anytime Fitness. That's Rayleigh's grocery store. You got Starbucks. And so these, again, depending on where you are in Caughlin Ranch, you can get back to these things really pretty quickly. I'll make a right-hand turn so you guys get a better idea, see things a little more closely. We got Rayleigh's grocery store. We got a karate. We got a hammer and nails in this shopping center. If you didn't watch our hammer and nails video, you could check that one out, that we talked to the owner, or one of the owners, Diaz Dixon, about all things hammer and nails. So it's a grooming shop for guys, Mexican restaurant right in front of us. And you're going to see these renowned health centers all over town, so you can get easy access to medical for things obviously that aren't overly huge. A little sports store, and of course a Starbucks. And so these areas are, again, super easy to get to. This is basically the really far end. When we come out of the parking lot here, we're going to be right on McCarran again. And McCarran, everything on this side, we're going to drive about a minute the other way, and now you've left Caughlin Ranch. So again, if you're looking for specific information or more details about Caughlin Ranch, by all means, leave us questions and comments down below. We're happy to answer whatever questions you may have about the area. So if you're someone thinking about moving to Northern Nevada, especially the northwest part of Reno, check out the video we did about Somerset, which is a neighborhood just north of the video we just watched today about all things Caughlin Ranch. We'll see you on that video right now.